Yes, thank you so much, Gabrielle, for this presentation. Thank you for being here this evening. We will open up it up to questions from our members. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute and ask, or if you would like, you can also write it in the chat and we will read it for you. So we'll open it up to the group.
Thank you for your great talk, Gabrielle. It was really, really interesting, and I really appreciate what you're doing. I was curious about the audience for these, especially the clips that you've been doing. Is it everyone? Is it targeted at the groups that are in conflict? Is it? I was just wanting maybe to, if you could speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So the way that that I feel that this kind of storytelling could be used is if they become like a integrated part of like any project that an organization does. Like for this specific like video that I did for CPI. Again, I mean that ended up being a more institutional video. So the audience, it's pretty much anyone who doesn't know the organization. But at the same time, while I was there, what I did for them was to develop this project to have like these different kids from the different tribes to work with a community radio and to go and like do stories for the community radio from like the different perspectives. So I think like the audience depends on the product, but like for this particular video that I showed you, the audience is just any external audience. But I believe that ideally the type of storytelling should be included in the project that the organization creates. I mean, it should be essential to the project itself.
Great, thank you. Was it hard to find people to participate?
For what specifically? Like for what I did like in the summer, or like now, for example, in Haiti?
Either one. I'm just curious. Are people excited and want to share, or is it you have to draw them out a little bit and spend lots of time with them, or is it?
I find it really interesting actually that I think that like a lot of people at first they're a bit apprehensive of the microphone, especially because I have it like on my backpack, but I could show you. I mean, the equipment can be intimidating, especially when you go up there and you start like pulling out like your big like overhead headphones and then like the big microphone and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, what's going on here? So I think that at first it is intimidating, and at the same time people are curious as to like what you're doing. But then I think that the incredible thing about storytelling, about like the microphone, is that if you're actually able to have a conversation with the people that the person that you're interviewing, they open up and they tell you these things that, I mean, you would never think that anyone would say to a complete stranger. I don't know exactly if it is because of the microphone, if it is because of the relationship that you're able to quickly develop with the person, or what is it exactly. But I find it amazing how people once they start talking, they just like open up.
Great, it's really nice.
Hi, this is Gene Perry. I was wondering, having taken a couple of courses on research, etc., how much of your, and maybe you've experienced this, how much of your personal bias do you have to tamp down before you do the type of work that you're doing? Bias in the sense that, do you have any preconceived notions, as most of us do, when we're in a different culture or a different arena?
Yeah, definitely, and a lot. You have to be really, really careful, and I think that it's really hard to get rid of all the bias, I guess. But I think that by acknowledging also, I mean, by knowing that you go in there with some bias, then you're able to, when you're editing, I think that's the most dangerous place, because honestly, when you're editing, especially like with audio, you can do pretty much anything. So I think that it's really hard, not really hard, it's really important for you as an editor to try and be authentic to the person that was speaking, and then not fit their story to your narrative, but be respectful of like their narrative and just like present it as natural as possible.
I imagine that's the journalist in you, or the education, the background in journalism that would help you to recognize that and actually come up with a pure product as opposed to a manufactured product.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think so. And again, I think that it's important to to acknowledge that bias exists, but at the same time, try to find all the sides of the story. I mean, not just look for the ones that fit your narrative, not just go and look for the stories that you want to hear, but yeah, just like go and look for everything. And I think that's more noticeable in the project that I'm doing like right now with Haiti, because I mean it will be really easy to just like go and bash a bunch of NGOs and like say that they didn't do anything. It will be really easy to find like those sort of stories, but the purpose of it is not just to speak bad of like the nonprofits, but to actually learn from what happened. So you have to like go in there and like try and find also the stuff that did good, and like what can you learn from that too.
I had a question, Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Two questions, in fact. One is, who are your audience? Are they, okay, I mean, I don't know how you're going to answer that, but who are your audience? Number two is the people you're working with. Do they ever get to see your work?
Well, like, what do you mean, the people that, for example, I interviewed?
Like, yeah, the people you interviewed and the people you're getting the stories from. Do they ever get to see your work? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so like the audience question, that's a really good question, and I honestly, like, on one hand, like, I would tell you that it depends on the project that you're working on, and then on the other hand, I would tell you that I'm still trying to figure that out, because I mean, right now when I'm trying to think of like what the future holds in terms of like how can I make a living out of this, it's really hard to think like who'd be interested in this. So like the audience part, I'm still like looking into that. But then on the second question, yes, I think that I mean the whole purpose of it is that, I mean, the stories are not yours. They're like the people who chooses to share their stories. You're just like facilitating the microphone, and if it is like, if you're like putting it on a website, you're just like facilitating that. But the stories are theirs, so for sure they'll be like, they'll have to listen to it. And especially for the one that I did in for CPI, I mean I was there only for 5 weeks, so I was on the field just for 1 week. I wasn't able to like go back and like show to them what I had done, but I asked the people that were working there to like, whenever they like go back, show it to them, because especially that was actually filmed at 2 different times. So like I interviewed like one of the kids by himself, and then like I went to their city and interviewed the other one. So they actually they wouldn't see the final product until like someone showed it to them. So I asked them specifically to like go and show it to them.
Thank you.
Hey, Gabrielle, I wanted to ask another question. I was curious about, is there any kind of offshoot for training or working with the people that you've been kind of embedded with? Are they learning? Are they able to like participate in the process besides being interviewed, or is that something that you do any training around, or is it just very much focused on storytelling for now? And I'm also really curious about your experience in Haiti.
So that's something that I would really like to do. That's something that like right now is not really happening. Like for example, when I was in Kenya with CPI, the last week there, I developed for them this kind of like project with the community radio, and if I would stay there long. I don't even know if they're like implementing it or not, but I'm guessing that since I'm not there, that's not gonna happen. But if I would stay there, then like probably the training and stuff for I would love to do the training for like the kids and all that, because I think that's, as any kind of nonprofit work, the thing that they can benefit the most is for like that capacity building, not just like giving them the stuff. So I think like ideally, yes, I would love to like help with like training and like do more stuff and not just like the interview. But in reality, it is really, really hard to find organizations that are, I want to say like interested, but like that they currently have communications or like storytelling as part of the programs that they're implementing. And then like for my experience in Haiti, is there like something in particular that you want to like hear about, or?
You said you were there after the earthquake. So when were you there after? I was confused about the timeline for when you and have you been there for?
I was there like 2 weeks ago, so like 7 years after that. No, I wasn't there when it all happened. No. I was just it was just part of the data collection for my thesis.
Okay, interesting. All right. And so I guess the more recent floods were probably, was that something that was, in terms of reflection, pulling the information about were there any issues kind of getting people to think back to that time, or was it like still just an ongoing like continuum of information that people were willing to kind of tap into that experience? Because I know they've been having such a hard time in certain parts of the country recently again, so just curious.
Yeah, no, and I thought the same thing. I mean, I thought that it's been 7 years, so I thought I was gonna go there and it was gonna be hard to have people recall what happened 7 years ago. But the thing is that even though it has been 7 years, it is really interesting how, I mean, Haiti is kind of in this constant state of being either half built or like half destroyed, especially like Port-au-Prince. I mean, when you go around the city, you see like the buildings that are again like either half built or half destroyed. You don't know if that's because of the earthquake or they're like rebuilding it. You see a lot of rubble everywhere still, and even though it happened 7 years ago, it's still very present. I mean, it's still really hard for a lot of people to talk about it, and I think that they have to relive it every day because you have like constant reminders. I mean, even the cathedral, which is like in the middle of the city, and you have to go through that to get anywhere in Port-au-Prince. It's still destroyed, so you see the earthquake every day.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm kind of dominating the questions. Does anybody else have questions?
No, I just had an idea. I work with kids in education, and you were just wondering to yourself, I guess, about where something like this could fit. And I know when you go to different cultures like the African Haiti, but even places, first world or second world places like the United States or even your country, where we have kids who live in very bad conditions, and much of what they go through has to be talked out. They need dialogue with other people and themselves. And I was just wondering, let's say, for instance, in the U.S., a place like Chicago, where we have kids killing kids on a regular basis, something like that, when you talk about conflict that people just can't unravel, I think that's where the talking, the speaking, the communication really belongs, and something that's, that tight knot that no one can unravel. I saw the African piece, which I can certainly understand. They've got, thousands of different languages and people thrown together, and they have generations of conflict. But we also have something like that in the United States. I was just wondering, have you considered going into the education system or some of the communities and, working with people there to help kids talk to kids, or kids talk to adults?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's a great idea, and I think that's one of the I don't want to say like cool things, but it's one of the interesting thing about like me as a peace fellow in opposed to like all the other peace fellows. And I mean, I'm not interested. I'm not focused on like one specific topic or like area of the world. I'm more interested in a medium of like, and that medium can be applied to pretty much anywhere, like any issue. So yeah, definitely, I think that it would be a great idea, definitely.
Great presentation, by the way. I didn't say it. It was really, really, really interesting.
Thank you.
Yes, great presentation, Gabrielle. This is Jeanne. So we'll open it up for maybe one or two more questions if anyone would like to ask. Gabrielle, as a fellow former exchange student, it really was fascinating how you were talking about storytelling for a purpose, and how, you know, when you tell a story, it brings you back to that moment, and that just completely reminded me of all the different exchange student moments that happens during that Rotary year. Have you ever thought about maybe doing something with the medium that you're with this storytelling, but for exchange students?
I mean, I haven't thought about it, but I wouldn't rule it out if the opportunity arises. I always have my recorder and my microphone in my backpack, so whenever there is like something interesting, I'm ready to go.
Awesome.
Gabrielle, I have a question. Maybe Osborne can answer it. I was just curious. I think if I saw it right, the kids in the video didn't have the lower front teeth. Do they do? I mean, is it done as a form of beauty, or is it a ritual?
So for the Nilots community, maybe Gabriel, you can be able to chip in, but I know for the Nilots, they don't perform circumcision. So as a way to pass manhood in Kenya, in these communities, mostly Nilots, they remove their front teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when they remove your front teeth, that is a sign of passing manhood. Mm-hmm. That is a sign of manhood, like because they don't perform circumcision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are these two communities different religions?
There is no issue of religion. It's about the issue of they're the same tribe. How do you call them? They have the same identity because they are plain Nilots. So they're Nilots. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, the difference is it's something that has been there since time immemorial. They believe all the kettles belong to them. And so anybody having a cow, they always believe it belongs to them because cattle are for them, for their community. That's what they always fight for, the kettles.
I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And again, Gabriel can tell you these are very remote areas. Like when you compare where he went to do his work and the cities, these are just completely two different sets of world.
What I was really amazed is that how this kid could really, I mean, they only met one time. They were ready actually to be friends. It didn't take much for them to become friends and for the communities to accept the kid from the other community. I was amazed.
I mean, there's a lot of distrust. The issue is distrust. I mean, they always have these meetings of reconciliation, which are always broken up again the following day or the following week. Mm-hmm. So you can't blame the elders for that because they understand the impact of distrust. Sometimes you reconcile and people break the deal or renege on the deal. So that is why there's a lot of distrust and they don't want to intermingle because they know betrayal will be following their reconciliation soon.
Do you think new generations would be more open to trusting the other community, or it's just a cycle?
It's a cycle. I mean, they say a child of a snake is a snake. So sometimes even you can be very educated, but when you go back home, you can't get, I mean, that is how they're brought up. It's like racism in America. You're told like this group is bad, this group is bad. So they grow up with that mentality. So no matter how hard you try to bring them together, yes, it works for some times, but after some time, everything falls back. Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe Gabriel, you can tell us your, I mean, your perspective.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree with you in the sense that actually you could even see that while for example the meetings goes on, or like while the people are engaged in these programs, you see like this whole like friendship, and they're really open, but I mean the conflict still goes on, and like the people who don't participate in those meetings, then they still like fight and stuff like Osman said, and that's why I personally think that I mean you can have a project like that. You can have a project that brings kids together. But I think that in order to actually make actual sustainable change, you have to have a communication perspective that goes beyond the project and like can reach the whole community and not just the people who happen to participate in that specific event kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Gabrielle, for this insight. And as a token of our thank you,